Whatever. Okay, should we
Yeah,
begin, or is your internet okay?
I think so. If it starts to go weird, I'll just hop on my phone. But yeah,
Okay,
like if I hop out, just say something.
cool. Okay, we can begin.
Okay.
Basically, I'm just going to pretend like we're in a live video because that was the plan, and
Yeah.
technology gets in the way, and whatever, it will always be like that. And I must say that, yeah, previously maybe it would have like thrown me off and I'd be upset about it, but I really don't care. I'm really happy to have you here, and thank you so much. Um, I know it didn't work out exactly as I planned, but basically on Tuesdays, I'm doing Member Spotlight Tuesday, and McKinley was the first person that said, yeah, of course, I'll do it. And she offered to do the first one. So I'm super thankful. And that's kind of how our relationship has always been, McKin. You've always had my back, and we've always been there to support each other. And so, yeah, I would just like to introduce you a little as if other people were watching it. And I would just say to you, yeah, I've just always seen you as like a force of nature. When you want something to happen, you always can make it happen. You're a competitor, you're dedicated, you're loyal, you've been super fiery. And while I still think that you always can decide you want something to happen and make it happen, you've kind of, I've seen you shift to this position that you create things to happen now and you let them happen. And it's not so much, if I was thinking of the physical body, it's not this like muscular effort of forcing things, which you were really good at. And it is a skill that I think is hard for people to sharpen, but you've found a way to make it really graceful. And it still is in you, and it's still a beautiful skill. But I think you've shifted from Facebook corporate, from kind of go, 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 even through university when I met you. And now you have this feminine flow course. I mean, it's amazing. You've created something that's so special. And yeah, I'll go back a little. I would just tell anyone that's watching this, I know McKinley from the very first day that I was at Wesleyan from orientation. I think you sat the seat right in front of me and kind of turned around and introduced yourself. And you were rooming with Portia. And since like that day, we just had a really special bond. And like all, I think of the best friendships, we have been like connected at the hip like this and batting heads like this. And I know through our relationship that both of us have a really good connection to forgiveness. We've both done some, not to curse, but fucked up shit to each other, or around each other. And we found a way to, you know, we love each other at our core and we're there to support each other. So we've gone from like crazy, wild, drink, do messed up stuff and use it as an excuse almost, to really transforming to a place that's much more aware and mindful. And I would say while we had so much fun before, we still have so much fun, and it's so much more fulfilling. So that's like a short snippet of our relationship. If you want to introduce yourself, you can do the same. It might feel kind of funny because it's like this us speaking, but imagine it was
No.
a live video or something.
Yeah, and it's funny. I was just listening to one of my mentors saying, imagine if there's 0 people in the room or there's 1,000 people in the room. You should be exactly how you are at all times. So this is a really good practice for that. Thank you for that introduction. Warms my heart, and I literally feel the exact same way about our friendship. It really is been um, you have just been a beautiful mirror for me in so many ways, and it's really incredible how I really started my journey actually after college, after we really went for it, our wild days, and working in corporate. I saw Maggie really following her heart, her path, and Maggie has been someone I've always looked up to, looked up to, looked under, side, left, however you want to word it. She has just been such a sister, and just such a hard worker in school. I was just always amazed at how many different things she would do. She'd be doing photography, then she's playing lacrosse, then she was doing this, and then she's doing that. And yeah, it always blew my mind of her curiosity, and it's something that I really, really value in Maggie. And so seeing her kind of come into this more yogic, slowing down lifestyle and moving and going to Thailand really inspired me. And at this time, I kind of had this what you would call the American dream job. I was working at Facebook. I was making lots of money. And then I went on to work for the two YouTube founders, and again, making even more money and making just doing. And as Maggie described me, I definitely was fiery yang. And that's all I really knew was yang. There was no yin in my life at that time. And so I just reached this point where I remember I was like, if I keep living like this, I'm gonna die. Like literally, I'm gonna either die of adrenal fatigue, which I did. I did reach adrenal fatigue. I was extremely tired and burnt out, and um, looking for some sort of hope. And Maggie really gave me that hope to really
Oh,
to see that there was uh, another way, because leaving this amazing job and going to explore something new. And at this time I had never traveled by myself. I had left the US with my parents and family on trips, but I'd never done anything for myself. And I think we'll get into this the more we get into the talks of coming from a big family. But I was like, I need to do this for me. And so looking at how Maggie started to change from just going to Thailand and taking herself out of her environment, it was super inspiring. And so that's really how my journey actually started. And of course, like all journeys, that was 7 years ago, 8 years ago, and it's been a roller coaster of a healing journey since then. But it really helped me to see, okay, there's more to this, the 9 to 5 corporate job and burning yourself out and continuing to come from this place that Mag described so beautifully, that we were just, these like rock stars and just go wild, crazy side of us, to really coming over into the life that we live now, which is still like, I can still be a rock star. We can still have those attributes and characteristics, and just a very different way of I never looked at my actions before. I was never, and I did, yeah, as I said, some fucked up shit, but I never took the time to stop. And I think that is what makes such the difference. I make some mistakes and stuff now, for sure, and I know that I will continue, but I'm much more able to take a moment and reflect on that and say, okay, like, what can I do differently? How can I behave differently next time? Rather than, that's not me. Like I was so in my ego, so never took responsibility, and I was really good at blaming other people for my problems. That's for sure. So that's a long-winded, I don't know where I went on a tangent there, but yeah.
but it's great. I mean, I think both of us can relate. Like this idea of even reflection, it was foreign to us. I mean, our worlds, while they were fun and we thought we had everything, our world was like this big. And we both come from big families, and it's a beautiful support system. I'm the youngest of 6, Mackenzie youngest of 5, and our family is a tight-knit group. And with that comes certain traditions and ways of doing things that are right and wrong, or ways that, well, this family does it like this, or we do it like that. And even my family's super open and doesn't use that language, but there's a way that we do things. And gradually you want these people to really be proud of you. You don't want to disappoint your family. The people you love and that are the closest to you are sometimes the ones that it's hardest to change around, even if you think that change is for the better. You're working a 9 to 5 corporate, working for the founders of YouTube, making a lot of money, and you want to go live in Bali and do what? It's like, for what? To be happier? How are you not happy? I mean, it's kind of like this. And as you grow and expand, it gets to be like this until, I mean, the possibilities become endless. And you could maybe go back to that 9 to 5 and have a different perspective and it would work for you. But that's
Yeah.
not what you're called to do right now. Who knows what
Yeah.
will come in the future? I think my next question would be, as you started to make these shifts, I know both your parents are super supportive of you, and probably in a more traditional sense, we're really happy with you graduating from Wesleyan, going out to San Francisco, working in Facebook, and then for the founders of YouTube. I mean, it's huge. It's a great accomplishment. And I was wondering if it was like a gradual transition to letting, for yourself and then for telling your family or your inner circle, I need to make these changes and here's why. Or if it was like one big moment and you were like, shit, everything's changing, I'm booking my flights and I'm going, and kind of just, threw it at them like, this is what's happening. So I guess, yeah, I was wondering in this I think it's a really hard moment to make these changes and let other people know. That's when the voice of self-doubt can get louder because you hear other people's concerns for what you're doing, which are also valid.
100%. Yeah. And yeah, I think for me, what really kept me grounded too is I had my apartment in San Francisco, which you came at sometimes, Maggie. And I made sure that yeah, me and Mackenzie. And Mackenzie actually left for India. We both had quit our jobs, and she left the apartment. And I said, you know what? I want to keep this apartment because I wasn't ready to completely make that like, hey, I'm going, I'm leaving everything. So I told my parents, this is kind of what I've done with them over the last 5, now 7 years. It's like very slowly, gradually. Like I never told them I was moving to Bali full, like, because I do it. And for me, it helps me. It helps me a lot to say, okay, I'm going to try this out. I'm going to go to Thailand for a couple months. And then I come back. And so I did this yoga training, which was great. And I came back and my parents were like, all right, cool. You're going back into corporate. So here we go. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's not what brings me joy. And I'm not sacrificing my joy anymore. And my yoga training, it was like a month-long therapy session. Little funny background story to that is I was a super Bikram yoga, of course, at that time, and was, doing like 6 days a week, very much into my how I looked and, at the front, in front of the mirror, and loved to be yelled at by the drill sergeant and, Bikram, a whole nother thing. And I get to this training and the teacher's like, all right, the first practice, Emma Warmington, I love her still. I always tell this story. She's like, all right, we're going to sit here for the next hour and yeah, we're going to meditate. I'm like, what the hell did I sign up for? I was like, we are not doing 2,700 chaturangas. I am leaving this place. And like the whole training was like going to your inner child, doing EFT tapping. I'm like, what the heck did I do? And I stuck with it, and it was like a month-long therapy session, and it was the first time I had ever done therapy work, inner child work. And so I just had all of these. I still am really good friends with my people in my training, and I'm sure, like, in yoga trainings you just get so close because you've really there's this different kind of opening up. And they always like would laugh at me because I just like cried for a month straight. I'm just like, I'm just a sensitive being. And it really just broke me open to being like, I'm just going to do things that feel good for my heart. And it was definitely hard coming back to San Francisco, coming back to my apartment, coming back to the environment of the party scene, of the corporate, of the go, 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 and not to fall back into that. And I did fall back into the old patterns, and I was like, what the heck? I just did all this work. And what I found out is, what I continue to find out is it's not just one time your patterns are gone. It's like you need to continue to work on them. And so when I got back, I ended up doing a startup company with my girlfriend, and we did tribe tats. And so I was going around selling metallic tattoos to people for a while. And that was an interesting move. And then I kind of reached this point again 2017 where I was like, what am I, I need to make a change. And so I went to Bali and had been living there since. So almost 4 years in Bali. And it was, again, a slow transition, telling my parents I'm going there for a month-long training. And then I got offered a job. And so it was, for me, to go back to the question, it's never just like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this, but within my heart, I feel it. And then because I don't want to have the outside noise, what I've learned over the years and over the time, as soon as I tell someone, like right now I'm in Paris, I haven't said, oh, I've moved to Paris, because everyone's like, what? You moved to Paris? You left Bali? That's crazy. Why would you ever do that?
Exactly.
It just helps me to slowly transition and also just feel into myself of what feels good for me. And I know that can be so swayed, being the youngest. And that has like been my hardest and biggest challenge and teacher, is like really staying strong in my power, in my decisions. And that's why meditation is literally the number one thing in my life, because it is the only time when I'm really allowing myself to come into, okay, these are my thoughts, or whoa, that's not even my thought that's coming up. That's okay. But sit with it. Like, let that really uncomfortable part of you, that shame of I'm not good enough, because that's where it stems from. All of it is from me not feeling good enough if I don't have this Facebook job or YouTube job. And at the end of the day, that doesn't matter. That title doesn't matter if you're not happy, if you're not doing it because you wanted to do it. I did it because, my family or parents told me this is, and I really enjoyed it and I don't regret any of it. But it's like, I'm so proud of myself to be able to say, okay, this isn't serving me anymore. What can I do now?
Yeah, I would add on, like, I think it's really beautiful, this way of, I mean, nothing's permanent. So when you slowly transition, it's actually really natural. I think sometimes people feel the need to make hard cuts and do things in this way that makes it really clear, but that's not the way life needs to be. And it might not be natural. I mean, you might be living in Paris now and you've moved to Paris, and say in 5 years something changes and you've moved somewhere else. It's always shifting. And even, I mean, I'm a yoga teacher and I'm doing other things. I mean, I'll continue to be a yoga teacher. I don't need to be one thing. I don't need this hard category anymore, which is kind of the beautiful thing about it. And I mean, I did the same. I now say to people, I lived in Thailand on and off for 4 or 5 years, but I never felt like I took all my stuff and moved there. I always had my parents' house back at home with a lot of stuff in it. I always booked tickets for like 5 months, 4 months. I would go and come back. And yeah, maybe it's not the most cost effective way of doing things, but
I'm all about the one-way tickets.
yeah, yeah, it's like, I don't know, you don't need these hard cuts. It's really a beautiful way to start to transition, and even for the people in your life, it's easier for them to accept. I mean, we've both done Vipassanas, and if we had gone from like party, rock and roll, coming home hungover, I would come home when my parents were getting up to go out for the day. I mean, my life was like that. And if I had gone from that and said, okay, I'm going to go to Thailand and live in the temple in silence for 10 days or 30 days, they'd be like, well, now it's just an escape and you're just trying this and then you'll be back. But when it's gradual, it feels better for me because I'm easing myself into something, which allows me to go much deeper. And for the people in my life, they can start to support it because they see me investigating. And I think for everyone in your life that you care about, when you see them investigating and being curious about what's available to them, you need to support them and let them have that experience of investigation.
Yeah. And I think, I've lived a lot of thinking, okay, I need to do what this person needs to do. And it's, people pleasing syndrome, whatever you want to call it. And at the end of the day, that never works. That never feels good. And there's this really interesting interplay where like I feel deeply like my family, and I think you do too, of coming from a big family. It's like on energetic level, we are so connected to our ancestors, we're so connected to our family. So of course our decisions, we care so much because we care. It's, I wish I could be
Mhm.
like, oh yeah, I don't, give a fuck what they think, but it's because I care and I value their opinions as well. But and I know at the end of the day, they're trying to do what's the best they think for me. And at the end of the day, we can only make the decisions for ourselves, and it will never feel good when someone else is making your decisions, no matter what it
Mhm.
is, really. And it's so empowering,
Yeah.
like what you said.
I mean, even our mistakes. I've been in yoga teacher trainings, expensive trainings that I've paid for, and I've been out so late the night before that I come to the training hungover. And those in hindsight were mistakes. In the moment, it was like friends asking me to come out, and I'm going out, and I knew different people in Thailand, and I was on an island, and it was fun, and I needed to do that. I needed to discover for myself why that doesn't work for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would say it still comes up. I'm teaching this beautiful course this month, meditation, breathing techniques, and yin yoga. And today I just had a check-in to see how everyone's doing. We've done 2 weeks. We're on the last 2 weeks. And someone was saying, in the nicest, they're a really funny person, that they're kind of on an escalator and they feel like I'm able to just be. And they see me as this being that's calm and peaceful. And I have that in me. We all have that in us. But if you saw me with JJ when he's, going upstairs and filling the bath and letting the bath run over and taking the toys out and taking all of my clothes out of my drawer and throwing them everywhere and hitting the baby, I'm not just being. I still get this like fire in me, and it's more tame than it was. So you might see me angry, and I'm angrier than you would imagine. But in the past, that anger was so much worse. My anger was so serious and so explosive. So there's no doubt in my mind that I've made steps in the right direction, that I'm much happier where I am, that I have these tools that I can always take with me, and I'm so grateful for them. And I'm not this being all the time. The reason why I've come to this work and I'm continued to be called to it is because I am like a volcano of emotion and I can erupt.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's important for me to say this because you might just see me in classes or teaching a course and you think that I'm some way, but yeah, it's these imperfections. I think I would ask you the question of, I know soon you're going back to Swampscott to a friend's wedding.
Mm-hmm.
When you see friends from your past, whether it's from Wesleyan or anywhere, I find that it can be really challenging.
Mm-hmm.
I would ask you if you find it the same, if there's something you do to prepare for it, or if you kind of just let it go with the flow and however it happens, or if you even feel that challenge.
Yeah, it's so funny. I started to I always do this, 1 year, go back home, and it starts like a couple weeks before I go back home. I start to get this a little bit of anxiety starts to come in, and um before I wouldn't I had a girlfriend tell me, she was like, do you ever get I was like, anxiety, what's that? Like, I didn't even know what anxiety was because I never stopped to feel. And so that uncomfortable feeling, worrying, anxiety of future thinking, I call it, of what would be when I kind of try to do scenarios. And yeah, something that still comes up is, my body image. And I think this is something, we both dealt with in college. And I think it's something that will forever be something in my life that I have to consciously work on. And saying, my body has changed, either I've gained more or lost more, whatever it is, it's always someone always commenting on, my body. That was something I
Mm-hmm.
also really thrived off of. And it was such a big a part of my identity, was my body, my sensuality, my sexuality, and my worth was dependent on what I looked like and what other people thought I looked like. I always needed to look good. I always wanted to look good. And I still can have those recurring thoughts of like, well, oh, maybe I need to lose more weight because the wedding's coming. And I'm like, this is not even my wedding. Like, who cares? Like things like this. And I'm just like, you know, seeing these little patterns, these little, even just subconscious patterning that's been within my system for so long. And growing up in a family which is very, very based in on your, like, we all played sports, it was always about kind of, what you looked like. And I know, if you know my dad, he'll ask every single person how much you weigh. Like, that's funny and crazy at the same time. Yeah. Well, how much do you weigh? How tall are you? And what can you lift? Like, like, you're weird. No, love my dad, but unaware. So there's things like that that definitely still come up. And just the, I have I've had a glass of wine since I've been back, but I haven't been drinking for the last like 6 months. And definitely that's another thing, because I was also identified as like the fun girl, the party girl. And like, that
I mean, you were
is,
recently on a boat with an all-inclusive bar, and I remember you saying you chose not to drink.
yeah,
It's not good or bad, but this is just where you're at. I mean,
yeah,
it's pretty incredible from times that we've had together in the past, but then you go to that. It's free alcohol. It's the best of the best. And you were just on a different page then. It's pretty amazing. I mean, for me, it's hard for me to say that I feel the same, because I've just been pregnant or breastfeeding for 4 years. So it's easier not to drink because it's something outside of myself, kind of.
Yeah, and I think it's gonna be always like body image, drinking, partying. Those sort of have been in my field. And I think also a big part of the work that I do in my women's group is like really coming into one, identifying when those things are coming up. And then really, like, when we do cleanses or we do these sort of things, it's like, what is your intention behind it? Is it just to lose weight? Is it to mostly, I talk a lot about the energetics of like food, because there's so much energy in it. And how is this food really making you feel? And I was a huge eating, binge drinking, just more. Always wanted to consume more because I didn't know how to just be. And that's why these tools of yoga, of our practice of meditation, of breathing, helps to calm. So I see that I just started actually a 40-day sadhana practice, doing like with Kia Miller. Yeah, just to, and I already, like, I'm on day 3, but it's just like shifting. It's because it's energy. It's just shifting that energy.
So how does it work? I'm just
that.
Not familiar.
Yeah, so it's basically every day, 30 minutes, a practice. So it's Kundalini. So it's a lot of breath work and just short, some yoga movements, but a lot of like just moving your energy. So it's focusing on maybe like there's a negative thought in your mind, and then you're just doing like breath of fire and moving your hands, or pulling the belly button in and out, moving your head. And what it's doing is, because we're just energetic beings, it's like clears your chakras, which are energetic spinning wheels, for those of you who are unfamiliar with that. And yeah, it's just so, it's such a simple practice, yet such that reminder of so quickly we can attune our energy. We can literally tune our beings, and how powerful it is.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's such a nice time also for you to be doing that practice and just, cleansing your energy after a move. You've just shifted your location, the weather changes, the body might be a little bit energetically vata movement. Vata would be air, deranged. Totally. And it's nice to have something you're doing every day like that.
Yeah.
I just had to say this because I thought it was funny, speaking about food and the energies. It's funny that we're speaking on 420. Because
oh my God.
20 years ago on this day, we would have just eaten a lot of weed brownies and stuffed ourselves into.
I literally remember some of our
kind of disgusting energy with no awareness of anything.
Yeah.
And we loved
Yeah,
it.
no.
It was fun, I guess.
Yeah, I think like one time I honestly ate like 5 cartons of Ben and Jerry ice cream.
Yeah.
Like, what? That is insane. The things
Yeah.
that, yeah. And wow, how incredible our bodies are that they can like regenerate from that much,
Mhm.
that, like
Sometimes I
that
wonder if now I've made myself like overly sensitive. If I ate 5 cartons of Ben and Jerry's, which I've probably done also alongside you, I would feel horrible. I would be like
yeah,
so sick now. But I think I
yeah,
could have done it then.
yeah. Yeah, and I think that's always the catch, right? It's like once you lift the veil, there's not really going back. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the beauty of it, but ignorance is bliss at the same time. At that time, we were not aware, and it's really um, cool that we can look back on that and send our little girl selves just like love and kindness and compassion
Mm-hmm.
and laugh, and also be like, okay, how is it I can, you know, I have a daughter, or just, for your boys when they hang out with girls, and just for them, like, how can we, have these tools? Like, I just wish I had these sort of tools when we were growing up.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it totally would have changed things. Maybe everything comes at the right time. That's what I'll believe. And
Yeah.
yeah, we needed to get through this to be really called to the tools to put them into practice, because these tools might have fallen in our lap. We might have taken a whole course on them at Wesleyan. And if we weren't ready to receive them or to practice them, it would just be this foreign idea. So many people in the world know that meditation would be good for them, that
Yeah.
yoga could be good for them, but they don't do it.
Yeah.
It doesn't fit into their life, or they're not ready to. Their time might come, but that's kind of where we were at, blind to like that this would change my life. I think
Mhm. Mhm.
I would move on to my favorite story, the story of adversity with the coffee
Mm.
bean, the egg, and the carrot. So basically, I was in a yoga training with Ari Green from the Zen Den in Margate, New Jersey, my first teacher training. And she's fantastic, very energetic, arm balance, handstands. It's kind of out of my world now, but I would practice with her any day because I just loved how I would feel. And she starts the classes with like a story or a poem or a reading or something she writes. And one day she started with this story. And it was basically, I don't know, a girl and a grandmother, and the grandmother has boiling water, and there's a carrot, coffee beans, and an egg. And she's asking what you think might happen or who you want to be like. And the moral of the story, to make it short, is that the carrot goes in as this like hard being and just becomes kind of soft mush. And that's saying that when the carrot, this hard being, goes into adversity, the boiling water, it gets soft and mushy. The
Mm.
egg is really fragile and it goes into the water. The shell remains hard, but inside it was yolk and liquidy before, and it gets firm.
Mm.
There's a firmness there, and that's what happens in adversity. The inside, the emotional body, the heart gets firm like a rock, or the inside of the egg. So it's just this material, and that's a protection also, or that's how it
Mm.
handles adversity. And the
Mm.
coffee bean goes into the boiling water and actually transforms the water into this, I don't like coffee, but delicious smelling, delicious tasting delicacy. It makes the
Mm.
environment a better place.
Mm.
I think, yeah, when you think about that, it's just so beautiful. And you get the
Mm.
choice of who you want to be in adversity.
Mm.
I go back and forth. I mean, I always want to be the coffee bean, but I see myself getting mad in traffic or upset with Colin for not coming in time. And my tendency is to harden, is to pretend that nothing phases me and just put on this armor and plow through. I think you can go back to your tendencies and then come back to being the coffee bean, and you get this choice every time you're in the face of adversity.
Yeah.
I know there's been adversity when you made these shifts from corporate to the life you now live. I'm sure adversity came up or some type of challenge or obstacle creating your feminine flow course. I mean, you created this course not from nothing, but from an idea into a place, a space that you hold women in. It's amazing work that you're doing. And you couldn't have done this easily. There's fear that comes up, there's challenges, there's the voice saying, just quit now, it's not worth it. Oh, not enough people signed up. Maybe I'm not the one to deliver it. This all comes up. You've just, you met a partner, your current partner, in quarantine. You were stuck in Thailand, away from Bali, which you thought you would be returning to Bali for your life. Your life was there at the time, all your things. And you ended up meeting a partner and falling in love. I mean, now you're in Paris with him. That's a situation that is adversity, and you turned it into something beautiful. I see you so often being like the coffee bean. And for you to see that in yourself, I don't know, maybe you can see or share with, the inner circle and how you've developed these techniques, and whether or not other people in your life are meditating, or whether or not your brothers, who are strong, football playing, masculine, sexy men, are meditating and in their feminine flow. They've somehow benefited from having a sister in their tribe that does this work.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see any of these benefits in any of your family members or your inner circle, but I think they're there.
Well, thank you so much for those really, really kind words. I appreciate it, and it means a lot to me, Mags. I think just adversity, as much as I like to be hard on my dad, and we've had a lot of things we've gone through, he's really, really taught me from such a young age, like, to never give up. And I've seen so much with him, and having so much money, then losing it all, and having a deal and losing it, and just from his adversity. And I think he really instilled that in me and everyone in my family. And we are all five of us are so different from each other, which is really, really cool to see how we all have our uniqueness. And also at the same time, I think it's challenged a lot of us to try to live up to the standard. And so for me, coming into my power, into my voice, and to be able to kind of navigate in this world through these practices that have given me so much, and knowing, and when my family sees me every time I go home, it's every time it's getting easier and easier. And my mom has like a little app where she'll be like, oh, I just meditated like 3 minutes. I'm like, okay, awesome, mom. And my brother Tyler, who's in Special Forces Army, he's started to do breathing exercises and is like super into breath work right now. And he's like, all right, I guess you're sort of rubbing off on me. And so it's funny. It's funny. And my brother AJ just sent me a video where he's like lifting. He just has a newborn Hayes, and he's doing a little breath work with him. And so it's something that I think, 5 years ago I was like, yeah, you guys need to do yoga, like, come on, let's all do yoga. Where it's now like, you just show by example, and seeing like my inner peace and inner happiness, where like what you said, like our anger, or what the woman on your course reflected back to you, of like, you're just there, like, kind of you never seem to get upset. And same with me. It's I definitely can still get upset, but it's less reactive and more responsive. I'm trying to be, and mindful, just coming back to, okay, is this us reacting in some sort of eruption? Is that really serving me or anyone around me?
That's beautiful. It's really the power of this work. It blows me away. I'm totally in awe of you and the work and all of it. Okay. 3 tips or tools that you would give. You can choose which version of yourself, which time period of yourself, that you now, as who you are and what you know. 3 tips or tools you would give a version of yourself. You can state which one, to get through adversity or hard times. However simple is fine.
Trust your intuition.
Mm-hmm.
Trust your intuition.
Such a good one.
To my younger self, slow down, take some breaths. To my current self, continue to slow down.
Yeah.
And it can still be the same, which is so beautiful about this work. And someone was saying the other day, like, yeah, this woman stopped yoga because she was bored of it. I'm like yoga, how can you get bored of yoga? There's like 1,000 different everything that you could do between the practices, between the philosophy, and I really do feel like yoga at its core it's a lifestyle change. And I think both of us have gotten more into Ayurveda, which I think is just, it's the sister science of yoga, and more of this kind of holistic view that is really incorporating the medicines of food. And so I really believe like that combination is just, it just goes so hand in hand. And for anybody out there that is wanting or willing to explore it, there's so much out there. And I think that's the hardest part. And we live in a world where we are information overload at all times. And just like I say at the end of every practice, like be grateful for all of our teachers, past, present, and future, and the greatest teacher of all, which is you. Remembering that teacher.
So good. I'll just close my eyes and bring my hands to my heart. And I just want to honor you. I want to thank you. I feel so supported by you. I know our souls are connected and weaved and braided with so many other souls of people whose paths we've come into contact with together, who we haven't met, who we've met apart from one another. I just feel so deeply the interconnected nature of this whole, of the planet, but of this work. And really in this way, things show up as we need them. There's signs. There's always signs if you're open to seeing them. And thank you for this conversation. I just feel so supported.
Thank you, Mags. I feel so supported by you.
Oh, good. I love you, McKin.
I love
if people want to find you on social media or get in touch with you, where can they find you? Or how could they sign up for Feminine Flow?
Okay, so I was gonna make a really corny joke. I'm like, email, WhatsApp, Instagram, Snapchat, WhatsApp, everything. Okay, let's just stick to a couple. Instagram, so you can do kinyoga_, and my Feminine Flow course is in my link in bio right in there. And the next round I'll be doing in May. We're in the middle of a round now, and I have a membership program with that as well. It's 4-week course going into mind, body, soul, and I'm bringing on guest teachers. And yeah, it's an incredible program. I just want to grow it and give it to as many women out there, because it's all from my own experience of using my body, mind, and soul. And so it really is, it's my baby, and would so love for anybody that wants to join.
So cool. So I'm going to share this video, definitely in my group. I can give it to you and share it on my page. And I will write in the comments every time I share it how to get in touch with you. I just think you said it now, but it's also nice for people to see.
Yes, thank you so much. This was just so nice.
Thank you so much. It was so fun. I have a
Mm.
crying Cody. I can hear him, but I'll jump
Oh,
down there.
super mom.
I love you,
Okay.
Ken. Thank you so much.
I love you too.
It was a
I
great
love you.
conversation. Bye, Ken.
Bye.
Mwah.